I'm about to start cooking supper. I'm going to make some. Been making this for years. We all adore it. We really love it. I tried to entice Corey and Austin to come eat with us when I told them what I was having. I figured they would, but they're not going to. Corey's feeling tired, as you might imagine, as she gets to this last days of pregnancy, so they're going to stay at home. But it's baked fried chicken. Now, I've never been good at frying chicken when you think about the kind that grandmother or your mother or someone made. I'm just not good at it. And I like it a lot. I've tried over the years, and it's just that perfect. You got to get it perfectly crispy without burning it or without leaving it raw on the inside, and that's just always a struggle for me. Unless it was something like, skinless breast, boneless breast, something like that. Those I can fry, of course, but when you think about the old-timey kind, it was always difficult for me. And I found this recipe. I can't remember who shared it with me. Here's my oven coming to heat. Many years ago, and I've been making it ever since. And it's in mine and Jim's cookbook, Celebrating Southern Appalachian Food. So I'm going to go over the recipe with you. Now, 8 chicken pieces. I've used breast. I've used thighs. I like to use legs just because we like those. So that's what I'm using today. It's all legs, but you could use a combination of whatever you would like. And you could use boneless too if you want to. You'd have to adjust the time and probably wouldn't take as long. So you take your chicken pieces and then you use enough buttermilk to marinate them. I did that early this morning when I first got started with my day. I covered them with buttermilk, and I've had them in the refrigerator all day. Then you need 2 tablespoons of half and half, 1 egg, 1 cup of breadcrumbs, and you could use, I've just got breadcrumbs that I bought. You could crunch up your own toast, make them out of your sourdough. You could use Ritz crackers, whatever you'd like. 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, olive oil just to drizzle, you'll see, and 3 tablespoons of butter melted. That's what we're going to drizzle with that too. Marinate chicken in buttermilk for several hours. Drain chicken and discard buttermilk. Mix half and half with egg and whisk. Mix dry ingredients together and whisk. Dip chicken into the wet mixture and then into the dry one. Place chicken on a baking sheet. Drizzle with olive oil and melted butter. Bake at 450 degrees for 15 minutes and then reduce heat to 400 degrees and continue baking for 35 minutes or until done. It just crisps up so nice. It's just really, really wonderful. Let's see, let me stick my book down here. Now, I'll go ahead and get my egg and my half and half going. And it's not a lot of liquid that you're dipping the chicken in, and you might think, well, why couldn't you just use the buttermilk? You could do it that way, but doing it with the egg and the half and half, I think, makes the crumbs stick better. But you could certainly skip that if you wanted to try it. Get rid of my little whisk. I have a sink full of dishes that I need to wash too. Now, instead of doing it in a bowl and whisking up the dry ingredients, I'm going to use Matt's trick of using a Ziploc bag. So I'm going to put in my breadcrumbs, and I've got my garlic salt and my pepper there together. And instead of whisking, I'm just going to shake it a little. And then I'm going to get started with the messy part, because it's messy. I try to use like my tongs. I still end up making a mess. I'm just not good at that. And I usually do, I'm going to make a mess always. I usually do 2 or 3 and then get them out and put them on the baking pan, and then I do 2 or 3 more. And I usually do quite a bit, because like Matt and Austin can eat two chicken legs, and then if we have leftovers, they make a great dinner the next day, or even just eating them for supper the next night. It's always nice, and then you don't have to cook but the one day. And as far as the pan, you don't really need any kind of grease, because we're going to pour the olive oil and the butter over it. But I like to use parchment paper just because it makes it for easier cleanup. So now I'm just going to zip my bag and do a little shake them around pretty good and get them out. And of course, if you were to run out of liquid to dip your chicken in, if you, for some reason, sometimes recipes don't exactly, it seems like sometimes I make recipes and one time it's perfect and the next time I run out of one of the ingredients. This is so easy. Of course, you could just whip up more, or the crumbs if you needed more crumbs. So let me finish getting all these on the pan and I'll show you the next step, which is super easy. Okay, I got them all on the baking tray, cleaned up just a little bit. So now with the olive oil and with the butter, you just gently, you're just putting some drizzling, I guess you'd say. And it doesn't take much, just a little drizzle. Corey got me this bottle for Mother's Day and I love it because it doesn't drip. The one I had before would drip down the sides of it and I love that. And then for the butter, I usually get just a spoon and then kind of makes it easier to drizzle. Just go over each one. And you don't have to turn them over or anything. You're just drizzling on top. About got it all. So now I'm going to put them in the oven and let them cook on that 450 for 15 minutes, and then I'll turn it down to 400 for about 35 minutes. Let me put them in and then I'll tell you what else I'm going to cook. Okay, set me a timer so I wouldn't miss turning down the oven. So what else am I going to make? I've got some squash. I wish I could say that they were from our garden. They're not. Our squash, I did see some blooms though. There's some blooms out there. These are just from the produce stand. So I'm going to fry some squash. I'm thinking about asking Matt if I could use of course he don't care, but the Blackstone, and then I could do it all at one time, be done. And then I was looking for something else in the freezer and I found some of our butter beans from last year. So I think I'm going to put them, I'll have to put them in the Instapot, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. They've got some ice on them, so I hope they're not freezer burned. Some I just threw in there one day, and I meant to actually cook them sooner, but I'd kind of forgot about them. But those beautiful, beautiful, there's the pink color, those beautiful black and white speckledy ones. Oh, they're so pretty. I'm sure there's a purple one down in there. There's some dark ones. They don't stay that color though when you cook them. They don't. Anyway, I'm going to put those in the Instapot. I'm going to throw them in there, maybe with a little bit of side meat for seasoning. And then, of course, I got to make cornbread. So I think that'll be a pretty good meal. I was hoping earlier in the day, and I might go out and get some green onions to go with it too. That would be good. Earlier in the day, I was hoping to make a cake. I thought, I'm really in the mood for a cake. It'd be good to make a cake. But I didn't get it made. So we're not going to have a cake. But the rest of this will be really good. So when it comes time to put them in the Instapot, I'm just going to pour them in even though they're still frozen. Let me go ahead. I'll make sure I get all of them though. There's one little one stuck. And I'm going to, there wasn't any side meat open, so I didn't want to open a pack, so I got some pieces of bacon, so I'm going to put some bacon in there with them. I'm going to put some pepper, and I'm going to put some salt since the side meat usually would have enough salt already in it. I'm going to put a little bit of salt, and then I'm going to put water. Really, I'm just going to I'm going to pour water in until the beans are kind of floating around. That may be too much, but I love the pot liquor from the beans. So I'm going to put them in the Instapot, and I think I'm going to pressure them for maybe 35 minutes first. That might be too long. Maybe I'll go 30 minutes, and then I'll check them, and then if I need to, I can pressure them a little bit longer, and they should be done. And while they're going, I'm going to clean up my mess, and then I'll be ready to do my squash, make my cornbread, which is super easy. Okay, it's just telling me that it turned on. I was like, did it come to pressure that fast? But it's just telling me it's on. Anyway, and I should be well on the way to making a really good supper if I get those things done. The chicken's still going in the oven. The butter beans are still going. I need to get my squash ready to fry. I think Matt's got the Blackstone ready for me. And I got my kitchen cleaned up, so that was nice. Now, I was going to go outside and just get green onions to go with it, but then I knew I had some tomatoes over here that a dear friend sent us. Thank you very much. And so I thought, no, I could make Granny's little salad that she always made. It's a very common salad. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's just cucumbers, tomatoes, and onions all mixed together with salt and pepper. Some people put other things in it. That's all Granny ever put in it when I was growing up, and so it's really easy to whip up. And so I decided I would do that. It won't take me but a minute to whip it up. So it's better if you let it marry in the refrigerator, but I don't have time to do that. I've got my little trash bowl here, and I keep meaning in every video to tell you, y'all taught me, you teach me stuff all the time, but you taught me what this is for, is to hold on to the bowl. Put your finger through it and hold on to the bowl. I did not know that. I thought it was to hang it, if you wanted to hang it up somewhere. So thank you for all of you who taught me that. You don't have to, and normally I don't always peel my cucumbers. Granny always peels hers, but you don't have to. But I'm doing it today because my cucumbers they're just about too old to use. So I'm getting rid of the soft part on the outside. These are some too that I bought at the produce stand. I'm going to be heavy on the tomato and light on the cucumber, but that'll be okay. It may be driving some of you crazy, but it should stop now. The little ding ding ding. So with the tomatoes, you can, if you know, some people like to get the seeds out. I don't ever worry about that. So I'm just going to slice them in little squares, just a rough little dice. They're getting on the soft side too. So this is great that I thought of this so that I can use them up. This little salad, it's just so simple, but it really, no matter what you're having, and that's why it always reminds me of summer, you know, at Granny's. It's just perfect. She's always got this in her refrigerator, but it just gives such a brightness to everything that you're eating. And pretty soon I'll be able to do it from the stuff from my own garden, which will be really nice. No tomatoes yet, although we do have some blooms. And don't have no blooms on the cucumbers yet though. It's probably pretty good already, considering I don't have as many cucumbers as I usually do. Now, let me do some onions. These onions, actually, I went out and got them out of the yard. They're actually onions I planted last fall, so they definitely need to be used so that I can make room for the new ones that we've got planted. That one's pretty hard. I don't know how much of that one I'm going to be able to use. There's so many variations of this little salad. You'll have to share yours. Some people, I think, put garlic in it. A lot of people put a little bit of vinegar in it. Matt would probably really like that. I probably should try that someday. He loves vinegar. But he likes it like this, though, too. Let's see. It may be more than enough. Put the salt and the pepper to taste, or if you wanted to put, like I said, some people put vinegar, some people, it seems like somebody told me they used oregano. Getting some onion strings in there. This should go really good with our butter beans. It smells so good. To me it smells like home because Granny always made it, but it's really just fresh and it's really pretty too. You can see it's really a pretty salad. So that will be good. I'm going to go ahead and cut up my squash so that I can fry it, and then I will need to do my cornbread and go ahead and put it in. I probably should have already had it in. When I was growing up, Granny always fried her squash in little circles. Pap done his like this, and I think it's easier to fool with to do it this way. I try to, on the outside, I cut off a little bit. I got that one a little thick, but that'll be okay. Okay, I like raw squash and I'm starving, so I'm going to eat one of the ones I cut off. Now, I need to get ready for my cornbread. Cornbread up! Also, chicken is ready. I know Matt's gonna like this. Of course, somebody's gonna call me right now. Okay, Matt's gonna love that. And I wanted to say before I forget, every time people ask me to say what page of the cookbook, and I always forget, and I thought I'll remember. I'm gonna make myself say it. It's on page 60. This recipe's on page 60. So now all I got to get is the peas, or the butter beans. I think it's butter beans and peas, but then we'll be ready. This is what the chicken looks like. It gets really crispy, and that buttermilk though that it soaks in makes it so tender, and then also makes it stay really moist. This is a recipe that Matt really likes. If you don't want any broth, you should have got you a slotted spoon.
I always like a little broth. That's where all the flavor is.
Surprised you with the salad.
It'll be good.
Looks like a feast.
Absolutely. I'm starving to death.
If you watch our videos, you already know what I'm going to do with my cornbread. I'm going to crumble it up. Put those wonderful butter beans over top of it. That wonderful pot liquor from them. Butter beans are so good. I said there was some peas in here, but I don't think there is. I think it's only butter beans. Get some of Granny's salad, which will just go perfectly with the butter beans. I'm starving too. Me and Matt's had a really, really busy day, and we've both been working, and we didn't even eat no dinner and didn't eat much of a breakfast. I used the Blackstone for my squash, but I'm not sure I liked it. So, I don't know, I may not do that again. I think my cast iron skillet is much better. I didn't get a fork. Get me a piece of chicken here. Only thing about eating fried chicken is you get it all over you. But let's see if I take a few tastes before I go and join Matt and eat. See how the butter beans are. Everything's so hot. Really good. It's a mixture, so there's the butteriness of the butter beans, and then there is some of the peas in there, I can taste them. Some of the ones we grew last year from Debbie that taste more like a black-eyed pea, which I like. Those butter beans really are like butter. They just melt. Let me get me a piece of cucumber and tomato and onion. Goes perfectly with the butter beans. Now let's see if I can cut off a little piece of chicken. It's gonna be hot. Very good, very tender. The buttermilk makes it so tender. The squash is good too. It just don't look as good, and it didn't get as crispy, but it's still good. So I hope you enjoyed cooking supper with me tonight. Hope you enjoyed seeing how to make Granny's little salad. It's so easy and just brightens every meal. I can't wait till we can have some fresh corn and cornbread and that salad. That'll be so good. And I hope you enjoyed seeing how to make the chicken. You're probably an expert at frying it in the pan on top of the stove. I'm just not. I want to learn though. I want someday to figure that out and get it just where down pat where I can do it like that every time. But this way is really good too. I'll add the link in the description below for mine and Jim's cookbook if you hadn't got your copy. And as always, I'm glad you stopped by to help me celebrate Appalachia today.